Very good morning, everybody. Today is the third day of our presentations. This season is going on from 11th March up till 15th of March. Semester 2 students are making their presentations. In last 2 days, you all have made presentations on English literature of the 20th century. Today, with specific concentration on American literature, you are going to make your presentations. This is the morning session of this, and in this session we have these students making their presentations. Let us have a list and their topic here. Okay, so in this list we will start with Insiyafatema's presentation on Spanish Civil War, Mansi's presentation on hero characteristics of Hemingway, Ernest. It's a very complex title. Every day I have to tell you that how to draft a proper title. Now you have a good friend like ChatGPT also, who can help you in preparing a proper title also. Then also, I don't know when the day will come that I have to only praise everybody's work and don't have to tell that this you don't know how to still prepare a proper title also. Okay. Nirali will read on comparative study of Romanticism and Transcendentalism. Payal will read on Bob Dylan's impact on song and society. Bob Dylan's impact on song. Even I should be capital, but still uh, not getting clear. But let us see your presentation, how you justify this. I think you can say that Bob Dylan's songs impact on society, or a person's impact on entire song as a genre and a society you want to prove. Okay, Pooja's presentation will be on the tragic flow in the play, Long Day's Journey into Night by Eugene O'Neill. Okay. Play can be capital. You have to put all keywords with capital letters. Okay. Those who are listening the live streaming or the recording of this, they will say that for the PG student, such simple instructions are to be given every day. How can you teach such a kind of a student whom very simple instructions are to be given every day? Samajhdar ko ishara kafi. But here the same things we have to repeat again and again. Followed by Rajeshvari's presentation on matriarchy, but you have to make clear what in which context you are talking about, which text you are taking in this in context. It is a very wide topic. Riddhi will read on family conflict in Long Day's Journey into Night, capital D in the title, Long Day's Journey into Night, it's small d. Rinkal will read on Stopping by Woods on a Snowy Evening and Blowing in the Wind, a comparative study. Okay. Okay. And Trushali's presentation on From Folk to Literature, Enduring Influence of Bob Dylan's Lyrics. Okay. And the last one, Upasana's on American Transcendentalism. Okay, so let us start with the first presentation of the day. Yes, Insia, you can share the screen and start with the presentation.
Good morning, everyone. On 13 March, third day of presentation of semester 2, I am going to present about Spanish Civil War. This is my personal information. These are the points which I am going to discuss about. So first we talk about background of war. Spanish Civil War was one of the defining movements of the 20th century. It's a very important event in history. In the 1913th century, Spain was divided between right-wing nationalists and left-wing Republican Party. On 18 July 1936, troops under the leadership of General Francisco Franco began an uprising against the democratically elected government of Spain. And after this, this war led very bloody war, and both parties are using violence and in this war. The Spanish Civil War, also called as a dress rehearsal of Second World War. In this World War, so many war strategies are used, which is later used in a larger conflict in Second World War. And this event inspired a number of writers and artists like Ernest Hemingway, George Orwell, and Pablo Picasso. And these writers expressed their views of Spanish Civil War in this work. So we talk about Republican Party. All Spaniards are equal before the law. It's a constitution of republic and they give equality to all Republican. After General Miguel Primo de Rivera's 7-year dictatorship and King Alfonso XIII, it is Spain's first democracy. Democratically elected government of Spain, Manuel Azania was president in 1936. Manuel Azania was a key figure in Republican Party. They give equality and freedom of Spanish people, and Republicans are supported by anarchists, leftists, anti-fascists, and Russia. And this group of people believe in equality and freedom, and that's why they support Republican Party. Nationalist, it was organized by military supported by the church, and the leader of this party is Francisco Franco. The aim of the nationalist movement was the crushing of the Republican government in Madrid. This shows the aggressive and authoritative nature of nationalist party. Some powerful countries like Italy and Germany were allies with nationalist Francisco. So Mussolini and Hitler both supported the Francisco Franco. Largo Caballero, the veteran socialist trade union leader and prime minister, opposed the Spanish Communist Party. Francisco Franco. Francisco Franco Bahmonde was born in Ferrol La Coruña in December 1892. Franco was a Spanish general who ruled Spain as a dictator for 36 years. Franco proclaimed himself head of the state and government under the title El Caudillo. He, uh, he started military dictatorship in the Spain. Francoism professed a strong devotion to militarism, hypermasculinity, and the traditional role of women in the society. So he believes in a traditional role of women in society. In this, women are loving and faithful for their family, for their husband. And some works they are not allowed to do. They don't become a judge or become a university professor. And Francisco Franco don't give freedom and equality to all the people of Spain. International support. Hitler sends group of ground troops, tanks, and air force to support Franco. Russia sends equipment and advisor to support the Republican. US, Great Britain, and France declare a policy of non-intervention. International bridges of socialist and anti-fascist volunteers arrives from US, Great Britain, and France. And these people are fight for democracy and against the nationalist party. And when we study a novel For Whom the Bell Tolls, the protagonist of novel, Robert Jordan, also a part of international bridges. And we see that Russia supports a republican and dictatorship countries like Germany and Italy. They support Uh, Franco. Impact of war. The post Civil War years formed a period of great suffering. Uh, so many people died in the war. Thousands of children separated from their parents to be indoctrined in nationalist values. Various branches of secret police established, neighbors spying and accusing each other, and a priest taking down the name of those who failed to attend mass. And citizens of Spanish try to settle in France or immigrate to Latin America. So impact of the war, we can see it's very bad. So many people died in the war, and so many children lost their parents also. And if we see nationalists are not allowed to women, but when we see Republican, there are so many women fighter in Republican group. When we study for whom the bell tolls, Maria and Pilar, both the women fighter are supported Republican. Spanish Civil War in literature. Raymond Carr's The Civil War in Spain, a reprint of the Spanish tragedy. This book is published in 1977. This writer support the Republican Party, and he give a account of the entire Republican experience from 1931 to 1939. And this another book, Herbert Southworth. He is a journalist and historian, and he write about Francoist regime and Francoist myth. So he support Franco, and in his book he wrote about Franco, and he against of a Republican Party. So he write about atheistic red republic in thrall to an exotic trinity of Marxist, Masonic, and Judic conspirators. So we can see that there are so many literature written on the Spanish Civil War, and when we study it deeply, then we know it. People of Spain, citizens of Spain, are supporting a Republican Party. Most of people supporting Republican Party, but there are some people who also support Franco. And this book, both are contrasting book. One supporting Republican, and one is support Francoism. These are my work citation. Now, if you have a question, then ask me.
Insia, how did the Spanish Civil War impact the global political landscape of the time?
Spanish Civil War impact global political landscape. So we can see that Francisco Franco, Germany and Italy both support Francisco Franco. Both are dictatorship country, and Russia and another countries which believe in freedom and equality, they support Republican Party. And there are also an important point: international bridges. It's also uh, about so many people are supporting Republican Party, and so many people of different countries join this war as a international bridges. So it shows the political time and international value of Spanish Civil War.
Insia, my question is that what impact did the Spanish Civil War have on society, and how did this shape the culture of the society?
Spanish Civil War has a larger impact on society, especially on Spanish society. Uh, when there are a Republican in a rule, people are people are very free, and they give equality to men and women both. And when there is a rule of government of Franco, they didn't give any equality to men and women and freedom also. And I also mentioned in my slide that for dictatorship they are separated the children and their parents, and so many people died. So there is also larger impact on Spanish society, and also international level, worldwide level, because this event inspires so many writers to write about this. And it's also helpful to understand politics and dictatorship in this time also. Thank you.
Hello everyone, my name is Mansi Gujadiya. Today I will present Hemingway's hero characteristic. Here is my personal information um, about author. Uh, his full name is Ernest Miller Hemingway. He was born in 21 July 1899. He was died in 2nd July 1961. He was an American novelist and short story writer. He was not both for the intense masculinity of his writing and for his adventurous and widely published life. His succinct and lucid prose style exerted a powerful influence on American and British fiction in the 20th century. He was awarded the Nobel Prize for Literature in 1954. He was also a Pulitzer Prize winner in fiction. Characteristic of Hemingway's hero. His typical hero shares one of many of Hemingway's ideas. A hero leads a life of action. He courage and dignity is wondered and shows strong points in the hours of distress in or tension. According to Philip Young, who propounded the theory of two heroes, the Hemingway hero and the core hero. The code hero. The code hero added alludes to the Hemingway hero who lives by the code of manhood, courage, fearlessness, stoicism, and grace under pressure. Philip Young defined the core hero as a mode of the controls of uh, honor and courage, which in a life of tension and pain make a man and distinct him from the people who follow random impulses, let down their hair, and are generally messy, perhaps cowardly, and without inviolable rules for how to live, holding tight. uh, Robert Jordan. Uh, yeah, he was a hero of the one novel from the womb bells tone. Robert Jordan is also a man of action rather than a man of thought. Jordan carefully balanced between his duties. He shows his maturity and responsibility. Ellen Joseph, a Hemingway scholar at the University of West Florida, says Hemingway created Jordan as a communist, but changed his affiliation to anti-fascist. Uh, his fight is for liberty, equality, and fraternity. As he himself says, you believe in liberty, equality, and fraternity. You believe in life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. If this war is lost, all the those things are lost. Here I mentioned the Jordan and Hemingway. Uh, Hemingway in his real life as a volunteer and joined a Spanish War. Other side, his character uh, Jordan as a volunteer joined the international brigade to fight against Festicus. Here I compare Hemingway's the other hero and Robert Jordan. Frederick is a hero of his novel Farewell to Arms. Frederick is a self-centered and nihilistic. Other side, Jordan is committed to certain abstract value. Jordan love to Maria does not come as an obstacle in the way of his work. Other side of Frederick love for Catherine does not come in the way of his larger concept of humanity. Jordan carefully balanced between his duty and his recreation. Other side of Frederick Henry shows his capacity for pleasure while acting under pressure and stress. But it does not mean as a utter disregard to his duty. In end of my presentation, I will conclude that Robert Jordan authenticity lives in his recognition of his freedom and his continuous involvement in their possibilities, which have means to his existence. It is his commenting commandment or being in action that gives a sustaining power of his existence. He feels after achieving his mission makes him a hero who lives for freedom and authenticity. Here is my work citation, and thank you. Now you can ask a question.
Mansi, according to you, what do you like in characteristic of Hemingway hero?
I personally most like Hemingway's hero characteristic is a courage and a fighting nature. Uh, uh, in our hero Jordan, he always courage and fight with other person. He is always ready to fight. I most like this.
Mansi, how does you define Robert Jordan as a Hemingway hero?
Uh, According to me, Hemingway's hero characteristic, I mentioned in my slide that Hemingway's hero characteristic is his most of hero is uh, fighting freedom for a fight, and Robert Jordan uh, is a soldier and a fight against freedom. So.
Second, I start. Hello everyone. Good morning. Today is my topic is on comparative study of Romanticism and Transcendentalism. This is my personal introduction, and this is the table of content. First, I start with introduction of Transcendentalism. Transcendentalism was a religious, literary, and political movement that evolved from New England Unitarianism in the 1820s and 1830s. It is principally associated with the work of essayist and poet Ralph Waldo Emerson, journalist and feminist theorist Margaret Fuller, Unitarian minister and anti-slavery advocate Theodore Parker, and essayist, naturalist, and political theorist Henry David Thoreau. Transcendentalism was known as mostly as a religious movement. Transcendentalism advocated the idea of a personal knowledge of God and believed that no intermediary was needed for spiritual insight. Ralph Waldo Emerson, the essayist, minister, and poet, and also philosopher from New England, he was the founder father of the Transcendentalism movement. This picture is also belief in the presence of God in literature, God in nature, and also beauty of goodness of nature. Introduction of Romanticism. In the 19th century, Romantic means sentimental lyricism and the expression of personal emotions are emphasized. Feeling and sentiments are very much present in romantic works. Robert Burns is considered the pioneer of the romantic movement. American Romanticism was the first real literary movement to ever occur within in the United States. Romantic era in the United States was largely known as the American Renaissance. American Renaissance is around this time the American writers and artists began searching for a distinctly American voice. Romanticism gave birth to some of American greatest writers like Walt Whitman, Nathaniel Hawthorne, Emerson, and Thoreau. These are some of the masterpieces of American literature, such as Moby Dick and Scarlet Letters. These are the characteristics of transcendentalism. First one is individualism. In this, they believe in the power of the individual to make choices and shape their own destiny. The second one is the divinity of nature. Transcendentalism show nature as a living, breathing, and entity with its own inherent wisdom and intelligence. It is also believed that nature was a source of divine inspiration of spiritual renewal. The third one is idealism. It idealist who believes in the possibility of perfect world. The fourth one is spirituality. It is also believed in the importance of spiritual in daily life. Characteristic of romanticism. First one, imagination and creativity. Romantic period writers stress the imaginative and subjective side of human nature. Romantic authors don't allow facts or truths to inhibit them from expressing imaginative idea, especially as they relate to nature. Second one, the beauty of nature. Romantic literature explores the intense beauty of nature. Romantic authors understood the progress and the changing tide toward industrialization, but they prioritize and glamorize nature beauty over urbanization and commercialism and materialism. Example, Henry David Thoreau was Wright Walden. Third one, individualism. Romanticism appeals to individualism rather than conventional norms of collectivism. Romantic authors value independent thinking, creativity, and self reliance. These are some example of transcendentalism in movie and novels. First one is Moana. The Moana movie is in this movie the character Moana shows multiple characteristics of the movement. Transcendentalism. She shows self-reliance, the ability to connect and learn from nature, non-conformity, and oversouls. Second one, Into the Wild. This is the book Into the Wild by John Cracker. In this, the protagonist is Chris McCandles, is a transcendentalist. He enjoyed the simplicity of life and deliberate living or living life is intentional. Christopher McCandles is also known in the movie as Alexander Super Strength, and he follow in the path of the transcendentalist philosophy, his connection to the nature, and his desire to live society. And the third one is Wild. The Wild book is written by Shell Strayed. The full name of the book is Wild, From Lost to Found on the Pacific Crest Tale. The movie adaptation of this book is also available. This movie is released in 2040. This movie is an American biographical adventure drama film. Uh, in this movie, the transcendentalism characteristic apply in the compact with nature, trust their instinct, and embrace their individuality. These are the examples of romanticism in movie and novels. First one is The Scarlet Letter by Nathaniel Hawthorne. This novel is a quintessential example of American Romanticism. The novel is also emphasize the natural world and incorporate element of the supernatural. This novel is also explore the guilt scene and feature a strong female character protagonist who defies society expectation. This novel is has also many movie adaptation in 1995 to 2015, 1934, 1926, and 1927. The movie are based on this novel. Second one is Moby Dick. Moby Dick is written by Herman Melville. This novel is another classic example of American Romanticism. The novel is also incorporate element of the supernatural and exotic. This novel tells the story of a man obsessed with the hunting down. In the novel, a characteristic of romanticism is applied by individualism and power of nature. Example of transcendentalist writers and poets. These are some name of writers and poets of transcendentalism. In this, the three are more important: Ralph Waldo Emerson, Henry David Thoreau, Margaret Fuller, and also female writer Emily Dickinson. These are the examples of Romanticism writers and poets. In this, the Nathaniel Hawthorne and Walt Whitman is most famous in his time. This is my work citation. Thank you.
Nirali, how did transcendentalists view spirituality and religion?
Transcendentalists are view their point of view on spirituality and religion. They both are the different thing, and these are both we can consider it as a characteristic of transcendentalism. And in transcendentalism, for spirituality, I suggest one movie, Eat, Pray, and Love. In this movie, we can see that the protagonist the protagonist uh, is a path on the spirituality, and she went many places for his spiritual peace.
Transcendentally list the view the relationship between human and the natural world.
The transcendentalists are lived in mostly in nature world, and they also focus on the nature, and but they also believe the nature things in his normal life, and uh, they also they also can different write their own views on human and nature. Thank you.
Hello everyone. In a morning session of today's presentation, I am going to discuss about Bob Dylan's songs' impact on a society. These are my personal details. This is a point which I am going to discuss. Bob Dylan themes and writing style, measure songs, folk and rock song or music, and conclusion. First, Bob Dylan. Bob Dylan is an American singer, songwriter, author, and visual artist. He was regarded as one of the greatest songwriter of the all times of 20th century. Dylan has been a major figure in popular culture for more than 16 years. Some become anthem for the civil rights and anti-war movements. His lyrics during this period incorporate a range of politics, social, philosophical, and literary influence, defining pop music conversation and appealing to the Burgessian counterculture. Dylan was awarded the Nobel Prize in Literature in 2016. Themes and writing style of Bob Dylan: protest, freedom, abandon, revenge, love, and politics. Dylan has evolved a musical style that include folk, rock, gospel, country, and jazz. His writing style is known for its verbal dexterity, wit, social commentary, and adept handling of metaphor and rhymes. Allen Ginsberg, on a first hearing Dylan's music, he wrote, "I heard hard rain and wept because it seems that the torch had been passed to another generation from earlier Bohemian and beat illumination." Major songs of Bob Dylan: "Blowing in the Wind," "The Times They Are Changing," "Mr. Tambourine Man," "Like a Rolling Stone," "Just Like a Woman," "Thing Have Changed," "Pay in Blood," and Tolkien. The May 1916 were a time of great change. One such a place of a change was the world of rock music. He became a symbol of a change when he moved from rock to rock music. So now see the folk and rock music. Folk music or song. It is a traditional song. Then rock music or song is a strong beat and simple tune. Folk music or song played on a traditional instrument. It associate with traditional and rural communities. Then rock music originated in the United States in 1960. Various styles, blues, country, and gospel. Like a Rolling Stone is one of the best example of rock music and song. So let's see. Like a Rolling Stone is one of the most famous song of Bob Dylan. It is a rock song released in 1965. It has been covered by many artists. The song derived electric guitars bass sound. In these songs, Bob Dylan used many electrical instruments. It helped Dylan to transition from a folk singer to rock singer. Like a Rolling Stone is aesthetically the most acclaimed song of all the time. Rolling Stone listed it at number one on their 2004 and 2010 500 greatest song of all times listed. For impact of his songs in a society. Let's see the two song of Bob Dylan. First one is "Blowin' in the Wind." "Blowin' in the Wind" is a folk song published in 1963. This song is considered an anthem of civil rights movement in America. It was released as a single and included on his album "The Free Will" Bob Dylan. It is a song of protest, self expression, and reality. The major theme of this song is social injustice and the search for truth and freedom. Dylan uses a series of questions to ask about various issues such as war, peace, freedom, and equality. It is a song that has inspired social changes. It demonstrates the power of music to bring people together, to inspire action, and to effect change. Another example of "The Times They Are Changing." "The Times They Are Changing" is a folk song written by Bob Dylan. Dylan wrote the song as a deliberate attempt to create an anthem of change for the time. The lines of poem: "Come, Senator, Congressman, Please head the call. Don't stand in the doorway. Don't block up the hall. This line suggests that those in position of power have a responsibility to listen to people they represent and to work towards positive changes. The message of the song is urging people to embrace change, to speak out against injustice, and to work towards a better future. So both the poem reflect the Bob Dylan songs in a society. Uh, so I would like to conclude by this quotation uh, by Jimi Hendrix, one of the most famous singer of 20th century and American society. Music doesn't lie. If there is something to be changed in this world, then it can only happen through music. It suggests that music has the power to inspire, motivate, and bring people together, and that it can be used as a tool for social and political progress. And we can say that songs of Bob Dylan inspired society and music or song industry. Bob Dylan first famous for folk song, and then he create his uh, singing and become a rock singer. It means he become a folk singer to rock singer and inspire society, because many songs we can find the freedom of choice, self awareness, and many others ideas. Thank you. Now you can ask.
Payal, what inspired Bob Dylan to transition from folk singer to rock singer?
Yes. Bob Dylan transition from folk singer to rock singer. First, Bob Dylan is a success, the success in a folk song, and after some time he developed his creativity on a rock song. In there America is developed, and everyone try to imply new things in his creative work and ideas. So Bob Dylan transitioned from folk singer to rock singer.
Eye contact here, since you're seeing outside the door.
Yes.
Is there anybody listening there? Outside the door?
Payal, what makes Bob Dylan's song impact on society?
As I mentioned earlier, present in my PPT, Bob Dylan's songs impact on a society because his most of songs inspire people, because he mentioned in his songs like freedom of choice, war impact, civil. He also involved in a civil war, and that's why we can consider Bob Dylan is an impact on our society.
So, hello everyone, myself Pooja Bhuva on this third day of SEM 2 presentation from the paper number 108, the American Literature. I choose the topic The Tragic Flaw in the play Long Day's Journey into Night by Eugene O'Neill. And also, I describe some other points like unities and hamartia too. Here are my personal information, and let's see about the author of this play, Eugene O'Neill. Eugene Gladstone O'Neill, known by his short name Eugene O'Neill, was born on October 16, 1888 in New York and died on November 27, 1953 in Boston. O'Neill was born in a hotel, the Barrett House at Broadway and 43rd Street on what was then a Longacre Square. Now,
Your laptop is connected.
yeah. Of course it is. Yes,
That is connected. It is on.
yes,
Your
yes.
computer is on. So you can continue. There is backup there.
So let's continue. O'Neill was born on Longacre Square, and now it is known as Times Square in New York City. He was the foremost American dramatist and winner of the Nobel Prize for Literature in 1936. He was the son of Irish immigrant actor James O'Neill and Mary Allen, who was also of Irish descent. His father suffered from alcoholism, his mother from an addiction to morphine prescribed to relieve the pains of the difficult birth of Eugene, who was her third son. So Eugene, he has three brothers. The one also described in the play, Edmund, who died. It is like autobiographical play because his real life story also describable in this play. His father suffered from alcoholism and mother from morphine. Now, let's see something about Eugene O'Neill's married life, who also can be a cause of his writing and impact on this play. Eugene O'Neill was a famous person who lived in Point Pleasant. He married a woman named Agnes Bolton, who was from the town. During the winter of 1980 and 1990, they lived in a house owned by Agnes' parents. Eugene was bored, but he did manage to finish writing a play called Chris Christopherson, which later became Anna Christie. 7 years later, Eugene and Agnes got divorced, and Agnes moved back to Point Pleasant with their own two children, Shan and Una. Una later married Charlie Chaplin. O'Neill abandoned Bolton and children for the actress Carlette Monetary. O'Neill and Carlette married less than a month after officially divorced his previous wife, Bolton. Now, Long Day's Journey into Night play. It is a play, drama divided into four acts by Eugene O'Neill. And this drama divided into four acts, it is in a one day, but it is like a whole day, morning, evening, and late night. This drama was written between 1939 and 41 and produced and published posthumously in 1956. The play is considered as an American masterpiece and was awarded a Pulitzer Prize in 1957. This play is a semi-autobiographical work, but didn't reflect the writer's personality directly in this play. He was as a he played role Edmund in this play. His personality reflects in the character of Edmund, but he described himself as a dead person. This play is driven by the main five characters: James Tyrone, Mary Tyrone, Jamie Tyrone, Edmund Tyrone, and Kathleen. Kathleen is a maid in their house, and a person who died named Edmund in real life. But in this play, this writer O'Neill himself declared death in him. These five characters are drawn by their own thoughts, prejudice, insecurities, and addiction, which make them lose their mind and temper with each other and get caught into the past. And cause of this tragic flaw happen in this play. Let's see how.
Tragic flow, if you see a particular definition, tragic flow is a flow in a character that brings about the downfall of the hero of the tragedy. How does a tragic flow work in this play if the downfall of the hero of a tragedy? So normally by the definition we can see that tragic flow is a reason for the tragic ending of the characters in the play. But with that there are also some other factors called guiltiness, past mistakes, etc., that also can be a cause of tragic flow. Mary is the central victim of the tragic flow because she got addiction of morphine and lost in her past. Of course, if we see philosophically, of course, there isn't any death in this play shown directly, but the way Mary, in the after the end of the play, she wants to live in past, it is considered as a death, because who cannot live in the present full-mindedly can be a dead person. To be addicted and consumption of alcohol also reason behind it. Caused by addiction, one can find a way to escape from the past, as we see that a person who was addicted or who is addicted with the alcohol cannot live in present. Now, starting and ending of the play, how it differentiates with each other. So, starting and ending are also interesting to notice how it paints this play tragically. Play starts with a lively and healthy talk between the tyrant family, everyone talking with each other and without any grudges. But we also notice a little glimpse of hate into mind of Jamie. But there is also hope too that this play is not tragic; it's happy. But in the end part of the play, unlike starting, there we can see terror, fear, tension, disaster, and somewhere depression in Mary's mind too. Now see Hamasha in the play, how it helped tragedy to run in this play. The concept of Hamasha is central to Greek tragedy and refers to a tragic flow or mistake take that ultimately leads to the downfall of the protagonist. In Long Day's Journey into Night, each member of Tyrant family has their own Hamasha that contributes to the family's dysfunction. Now, let's see the patriarchal character of this family, James Tyrant, is haunted by his past mistake and struggle and guilt and regret. What is his mistake he made? He described that he was guiltful and regretful because in past he forcing his wife Mary to undergo a cheap treatment for her addiction and not paying her much money, and cause of that Edmund also think that the cause of my mother's situation, death of my brother, and of my tuberculosis also reason my father cause he paid cheap treatment. Mary Tyrant, James' wife, is addicted to morphine and is unable to overcome her dependence. Her hamasha is her desire to escape from the harsh realities of her life, including her husband's identity, infidelity, and her own illness. As we see from starting, how she acted very lively, talk with their children, but in the end, she did not recognize that their son and her husband. James Tyrant, the couple's oldest son, is a failed actor who resents his father for forcing him to pursue a career in the theater. His hamasha in his bitterness and anger, which he directs towards his family and himself. Edmund Tyrant, the youngest son and considered as the uh, writer of this play, is an inspiring writer also in this play, who is suffering from tuberculosis. His hamasha in his romantic idealism, which leads him to believe that he can overcome his illness and achieve his dreams despite the harsh realities of his life. Why from this all of this character, the character of Edmund can be seen as a hope. The reason behind it also seemed to be because he is a writer and he read lot of literature, and he has thinking process in his mind, like how life works and how the reality of life works. Now let's see the three unities by Aristotle, that this tragic play defined in these unities or not. So the first one, the unity of time. In this long day's journey into night, the events of the play take place over the course of single day, as we see morning to late night. So this can be others to the unity of time, because the unity is stated by Aristotle. It's the event of play should take place within a single day. The second is unity of place. This unity requires that events of play takes in a single location. As we see, this whole play takes place in entirely within the tyrant's family summer. So it also can be adheres to the unity of place. But the unity of action, this unity states the play should have a single focus, a plot with a clear beginning. But in this play, it is not clear that how individual problems and dysfunction dynamic is of their relationship. There are lots of confusion in relationship. They are in their own mind and function as their thing, that how it is a work. The play does not have the conventional plot structure with a clear resolution and or conclusion. So in this regard, it is not devised from the unity of action. So it follows two unities, the unities of time and unity of place. But there is a little problem in unity of action described by Aristotle. Now the view of Dwight MacDonald on this play. To describe the play, he uses this word. 6 years ago, I watched a play on Broadway that I found boring and tiring. The play was too focused on showing life as it is, without an interesting or strange twist. I even fall asleep a few times. However, as the play went on, I started to care about the problems and solution of Tyrant family. By the end of the play, I was so invested in their story that I have would been happy to watch another 3 more hours. So somewhere he got interested in this play. From starting, we feel a little bit boring, but in the end, we think in our mind that how the story is gonna take place and what will happen next. O'Neill's has a tale that is of crucial importance of him personally. The story of his own family, compressed into a day and night in the seaside cottage in New London in the year 1912. The theme of one of high tragedy, the unsuccessful struggle to escape the consequences of past action. We see the most of this theme considered with Mary, because in the past she took her gown and wants to live in past better than her present. The mother's drug addiction was not caused by her own choices, but rather by her husband's decision to save money by hiring a low-cost doctor who prescribed morphine to ease the pain of her difficult childbirth. So the whole problem and whole cause of this Mary's addiction and everything are blamed on the main character of this play, James Tyrant. So in this scene, the husband is being punished for his own flaws, much like in a Shakespearean tragedy. Dwight MacDonald compared this tragedy also with Shakespearean tragedy. The flow of this play compared he with Shakespearean and Elizabethan tragedy. The youngest member of the Tyrant family, now O'Neill, was indirectly blamed for his mother's addiction because his parents, during their difficult times, would remind him that he was the reason why they had to endure the hardship of childbirth. If we see psychologically, it is a reason, not this youngest member, Edmund. If one of us are on this place of Edmund, we also think the same. So here are my work citation. Now I open for question.
How does the tragic flow of the play relate to human suffering and condition?
Tragic flow of the play relate to human suffering and condition. Now, tragic flow uh, is a cause of human suffering. It can be a theme or element or something which cause human suffering and human condition. If we suffer from something like in this play, she is suffering from addiction of morphine and he's suffering from alcoholism. So there are suffering from their past. That's why they consider consumes and addicted for this consumption, and that's why it caused tragic flow. So tragic flow of the prey relate to human suffering in this way, and that tragic flow and that consumption and alcoholism can be a reason of their condition, that how they want to live in past better rather than present. Thank you.
How tragic flow is connected with Mary and James?
As I described in the slides, that the main character James, a patriarchal member of the family, and Mary, they have their own past. Of course, James Junior, Edmund has their own past and has a reason of their own tragic flow. But Mary and James has a better reason for the tragic flow, cause James has a burden in his mind that the all the problems that happen with my children and my wife is cause of me, that I didn't pay much money for her addiction, and the process of childbirth cause tuberculosis to Edmund. So the tragic flow of Mary and James is connected with their past, with their children's birth, and his less treatment with money. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. This is my personal information, and my today's topic is matriarchy in context of "For Whom the Bell Tolls" by uh, Hemingway, and its major character Pillar. This is the points that I have discussed in my PPT. Uh, Short introduction of author. Ernest Hemingway was an American journalist and author, and he was also served in Spanish Civil War. So, in his work, we can see the influence of Civil War. He is best known for his novel For Whom the Bell Tolls and The Old Man and the Sea. He was also received Pulitzer Prize and Nobel Prize in Literature in 1954. This is the his novel For Whom the Bell Tolls. For Whom the Bell Tolls is a novel by Ernest Hemingway published in 1940 during the time of Spanish Civil War. It was published just after the Spanish Civil War. The title of the novel is taken from the poem by John Donne. Before seeing the pillar as a character of element of matriarchy, let's see what is matriarchy. The term matriarchy has been interpreted by various in various ways. The historic origin of the word matriarchy can be traced to the term matriarch and patriarch, which were used to denote the female or male head of the family or tribe. And this term is very much famous and coined in 19th century, and and Morgan, they are the person who discussed about this term. Society evolves from the stage of matriarchy to the stage of patriarchy due to certain factors. Women started yearning for a better, safer, and secure life. Matriarchy arrived as a revolution where women were accorded a very high status in the stage of human life. Children look at the name on their mother, and in property were transmitted along female lines. Women were power in all walks of life. As we have seen in patriarchy society, this we can see because of some. Sir? Matriarchy. In contemporary society, we can see the government has so many rules for women, so that's why people are buy properties and other things with in the name of women. But that is not, we can say, it's matriarchy, but it's just because of the sometime some benefits of governmental policy and other things. And nowadays some person used name after their name in after their own name. We can see a famous director of movie Sanjay Leela Bhansari used his mother's name after his name. But this is, we cannot say it's a matriarchal society, but it's just some people are follow some type of pattern by their own. Since the blood ties between the mother and the child was the most natural and undepictable, it was given great importance by McLennan. As we have seen, the children has a direct blood connection with her mother. So in we can see in nature, we can see the nature is a women centric culture. Every animal and all other creatures have women in the center. And we can also see in forest group of animal, those who are female, they are in a leading pillar. This is the photograph of from movie adaptation of the from For Whom the Bell Tolls. In the context of For Whom the Bell Tolls, Pillar's leadership role as a matriarch in the guerrilla group is portrayed positively and is seen as essential for the group's survival and success. This society is described in this novel is not a matriarchal society, but the character of Pillar has some type of elements of matriarchy. She has very good influence and power over the group, and she also makes a decision related to war, and she was a very fierce fighter also. In the character of Pillar, there is an element of matriarchy, but the novel is not as described as the matriarchy society. Matriarchy and feminism, what is the difference between these both words? When we are first to see matriarchy, it's looked like a feminism. It's also, as some critics think, matriarchy is a part of feminism, but there is a quite different between this both term. According to Cudden, I quote, feminist literary criticism questioned the long standing dominant male phagocytic ideologies, patriarchal attitude, and the male interpretation in literature, I unquote. While matriarchy and feminism share the goal of empowering women, they different in their but there is different in their approach. Matriarchy has its own different approach, and feminism has its own different approach. Matriarchy and feminism are related concept, but they are not in. Interchangeable. Matriarchy refers to a social system in which women hold primary position of power, and in feminism is a social, political, and cultural movement that seeks to achieve gender equality. So feminism is stands for gender equality, where matriarchy is stands for women in power, and women in as stand as women are, as the matriarchy says, we can replace men with women. While matriarchy has mostly fallen out of use for anthropology description of existing societies, it remains current as a concept in feminism. And this is the picture of Hotstar Specials series. This is in two episodes, City of Dreams. The Gnanarchy generally means government by women over women and men. So we can see this type of element in this series when women protagonists want to give her contribution in politics, and she is trying to fight with his own brother, and this type of political element in this series of Hotstar. In India, in Meghalaya, there is a one group of people, and we can say it's a cultural group, and they are Khasi. The Khasi are the group of people inhabited the state of Meghalaya in northeast India. The Khasis believed that the clan grew out of the family. At the very beginning of this clan or family was a woman. The present day clans of the Khasi society are more or less overgrown families. This is the one, and they are still alive. This type of life in nowadays in India. So they have a women centric society in their own there, and when they are married, in generally we can see when women marry with men, at that time women goes to the home of men, but the opposite things happen in this society. The Khasi society is almost always considered to be matrilinear and not a matriarchal one. Matriarchal society is one which trace lineage and descends through the mother. According to W.H. Marvi, I quote, one of the foundation of tradition Khasi society is the recognition of the special and unique role of women in the fabric of society. I unquote. The relationship between the husband and the wife in their marital life, they both are equal in their life, in the nurturing of in children and care of children. They men and women both are equally took part. This is the one, a book into the hearts of Amazon. It's itself itself written with the theme of matriarchy, and this is the right side photo. Photo is one of the famous TV serial Balika Vadhu, and the photo is the character of Surekha Shikri, and named in serial Dadisa. We can see this character is as a element of matriarchy herself, and this left side photo is one of the famous movie Ram Leela. It's famous because of controversy related it this movie, and the character Dhankorba is famous in and a very significant role in the movie. So they both character Dadisa and Dhankorba, they are they have element of matriarchy in our serial and movie. Conclusion: matriarchal societies may offer greater opportunities for women's empowerment and creativity. One German philosopher and writer, Heid Ebenberth, said, and she was also written this type of matriarchal. Literature, and she favors matriarchy is one thing that we can replace with patriarchy, and some critics also criticize her work, and when we see matriarchal society may offer greater opportunity for women, and patriarchal society may offer greater opportunity for men. So if we are replaced matriarchy with patriarchy, then the problem is self. In patriarchy, women are suffer, and in matriarchy, maybe man is suffered. So it is not ultimately solution of the problem that is happening with women. This is my work cited. Thank you. Now I'm open for question and answer session.
Mr. Rajeshwari, as Miller's character is shown in the novel, is matriarchy possible in Indian society?
As Pillar's character shown in novel, but the novel's idea and theme is not a society of matriarchy. Only a character of Pillar herself, some characteristics of matriarchy and matriarchal theme in her own. The whole novel is not with this theme, but matriarchy possible in Indian society, we cannot see it is possible or not possible, because it's if it is possible, then it takes a long time, and it's uh, took a long time, and some critics says that the matriarchy is not really happen, and matriarchy is also available in many myths of religion, and some critics also mentioned that matriarchy is not really happen, but it's just a utopian idea of the answer of patriarchy. So
How does the concept of matriarchy in the novel relate to the contemporary society?
As I have answered Pooja's question, the concept of matriarchy in the novel is related to contemporary society. The matriarchal society is not available in whole world, but some pre-colonial world we can see some matriarchal society, but after the British government and British empowerment, some of the matriarchal society are destroyed, and because they are majorly showing in some tribal areas in Africa, and as we have seen in Meghalaya, and in Meghalaya it is still alive. But we can in contemporary time where it is available, it's available. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. Today is the third day of our SEM 2 presentation. Today I am going to deal with the family conflict in Long Day's Journey into Night by Eugene O'Neill. Here is my personal information. Here is a point to be pondered which I have presented in my which I have present in my presentation. First of all, introduction. Eugene O'Neill was born in 16 October in 1898. He was died on 27 November in 1953. Eugene O'Neill Gladstone O'Neill was an American playwright awarded the 1936 Nobel Prize in Literature. His poetically titled plays were among the first to introduce into the US the drama techniques of realism earlier associated with Russian playwright Anton Chekhov. His famous works are Beyond the Horizon, Anna Christie, Strange Interlude, A Wilderness, The Iceman Comet. O'Neill posthumously received the 1957 Pulitzer Prize for Drama for Long Day's Journey into Night. Before the conflict theory, Long Day's Journey into Night is a play in a 4 acts written by O'Neill in 1939 to 41, first published in 1956. The Tyrone family, as depicted in Eugene O'Neill's Long Day's Journey into Night, is not a typical family. They are plagued with challenges such as illness, alcoholism, and morphine addiction. At the heart of the family problems is a mother, Mary Tyrone. Conflict theory. Conflict is a basic effect of social life. Competing sets of interest contribute to the dynamic nature of social life, which in turn cause a conflict and induce social interaction. In any given society, each person pursues his or her individual social interest. The family, much like any other social unit, demonstrates among its members the same comptic interest observed in other social groups in society. Family conflict. The play is founded upon endless conflict. The father, James Tyrone, is a miserly man who seems to have failed everyone in the family. including his wife Mary. After giving birth to their son Edmund, Mary is in great pain, and James sends her to an ignorant quack of a cheap hotel doctor because he is inexpensive. The doctor prescribes Mary morphine. James also fails in his marriage to Mary because he is always away from home and drinks too much. In addition, James fails his younger son Edmund in sending him to a cheap, second-rate sanitarium rather than to a more expensive venue when he is diagnosed with TB. Edmund rails against his father. But to think when it's a question of your son having consumption, you can show yourself before the whole town as such as a stinking old tightwad. He also fails his older son Jamie by turning him into drunkard. This becomes obvious when Mary tells him, since he first opened his eyes, he has seen you drinking, always a bottle on the bureau in the cheap hotel rooms, and if he had nightmare when he was a little or a stomachache, your remedy was to give him a teaspoonful of whiskey to quiet him. Conflict caused by jealousy between parents. Finally, this conflict develops into jealousy, rivalry between Mary and James with regard to their children. Mary says, I know why he wants to send you to sanitarium to take away from me. He has always tried to do that. He has been jealous for every one of my babies. He kept finding ways to make me leave them. That's what caused Eugene's death. He has been jealous of you most of all. He know I loved you best. Conflict caused by jealousy between siblings. From a different perspective, James faults Jamie for corrupting Edmund in being the influence on him. Jamie admits to Edmund, Mom and Pop are right. I have been influenced, and the worst of it is I did it on purpose to make a bum of you. Never wanted you to succeed and make me look even worse by comparison. Wanted you to fail. Always jealous of you. Conflict within mother. The conflicting nature of the family members is also evident in the mother's self monologue and resignation to her drug addiction. When James and her son leave the house, she calls out, goodbye. It is so lonely here. You are lying to yourself again. You wanted to get rid of them. Their contempt and disgust are not pleasant company. You are glad they are gone. Then, Mother of God, why do I feel so lonely? In a sense, this is a characteristic of a family life, but it is hidden. A motif of fog persists throughout the play and function as a hiding place for Mary that represents an internal rather than external condition. Conclusion. The play ultimately alludes to the idea that we have to accept the things in our lives that we cannot change, regardless of the bitterness and blame that permeates the family's dialogue. Each of the family member is emotionally invested in and dependent on the one another. Here is my work citation. Now I am open for question.
Riddhi, what role does addiction play in the family conflict in long day's journey into night? And it's happened this type of situation in India.
Yes, Mary's addiction was Mary's addiction, morphine and James and his both son are too much drinks. In also India, it's happened.
So Riddhi, what it is indirectly shown honor in this play. So what role does honor indirectly play in the family conflict?
In the long day's journey into night, O'Neill indirectly play the more of addiction of morphines and too much drink in family destroy most of this type of addiction. Thank you.
May I start now? Hello everyone, welcome to the third day of presentations. My topic of today's presentation is Stopping by Woods on the Snowy evening and Blowing in the Wind, a comparative study of them. Uh, Robert Frost, the introduction of the poet of the Robert Frost was American poet. Frost is widely regarded as one of the most influential poets of 20th century. His realistic depictions of rural life and his use of traditional forms of poetry, such as blank verse, sonnets, and quatrains. Frost received numerous awards and honors, including 4 Pulitzer Prizes for poetry and Congressional Gold Medal. Bob Dylan, uh, the Blowing in the Wind, he is the songwriter, American singer and songwriter, major figure in the popular culture for the more than 50 years. He has been stated. Some become anthems for civil rights and anti-war movements. His lyrics during this period incorporated a range of political, social, philosophical and literary influences, defying pop music conventions and appealing to the burgeoning count, counterculture. He is also a Nobel Prize winner that Bob Dylan has written for the various purposes, including political and social and philosophical also. Comparative study of both these poems, stopping by woods on a snowy evening and blowing in the wind. Stopping by the woods on the snowy evening is a poem written by Robert Frost, and these are rhyming scheme of this poem is ABB. Themes of this poem are nature, solitude, and responsibility and death. And here in the Blowing in the Wind, the rhyming scheme is ABB, and the themes of the song are war, freedom, and equality. Tone of the poem of Stopping by Woods on a Snowy Evening is contemplative, and here in the Blowing in the wind is protest and urgent. Symbols of this poem are of the stopping by woods on a snowy evening are woods or horse and snowy evening and sleep. Here in the another poem, mountain, wind and the road. Imagery used in the poem stopping by woods on a snowy evening is darkness. And here in another, cannonball, sky and the road. Frost described it as the short poem with the long name. The ambiguous reply suggests the complexities of the questions itself. That here in the poem, here in the song, a writer asks some questions, and the ultimate one and only answer is blowing in the wind, and that is what the makes question much complicated. These are the poems stopping by woods, and another song is blowing in the wind. These are my work cited. And another one, lines by Bob Dylan, that praise be Nero's nupture and the Titanic sail is set down, and everybody is shouting, which side are you on? And Ezra Pound and T.S. Eliot fighting in the captain's tower, while Kelpso singers laugh at them. That here is the little bit contradiction, that Nero is the one person who was in the social, like a tyrant type person, who was dominant on the society, and the Neptune was the god of sea and the water, and the Titanic sails it down. That is contradictory here. At the Titanic cannot sail on the down, and Ezra Pound and Eliot, that he is making, they both left America at once. And the another one is captains of the singer is uh, Kel- Calypso is the Africa, one of the genre of music, and the singer is laughing at them while they all are fighting with each other and all that kind of things. Well, I'm up for questions.
Rinkal, how do the reference to cannonballs contribute to the overall message of blowing in the wind?
Okay, in that song. Here, yes, and how many times must the cannonballs fly before they are forever banned? The cannonballs are must to be used in the war, especially to 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 fire on a particular group or country, and how many times they have to fly, or they will be thrown, or to make another dead, and till it will be bent. How many people will suffer till it bends? That is the overall message here. Another.
Wrinkle, poetry used element of nature like wood and wind. Give your idea of it.
Okay, here in the both of the in a particular poem of Frost, there is a idea of wood, that woods are lovely, dark, and deep. Here, the woods are a symbol of the specially jungle and the glorified beauty of nature. That poet wants to stay into them by escaping from the reality and his responsibilities. That nature is making him to escape and live a very easy and smooth life. And here in the song of Bob Dylan, there is a symbol of wind, and it is that this kind of mirage, that if you are writing something on a air, and a mirage is also something which is not permanent, and if you are writing something in the air or in the air or sand, it will be not remain forever. And the here is answer is like that, that all these questions are too much complicated to the human beings, and all kind of group of worldwide questions are there, that the ultimate solution is no one knows when it will be solved. Okay, thank you.
Hello everyone. Very good noon to all. Today, on the third day of the presentation on American literature, I am going to make my presentation on from folk to literature, enduring influence of Bob Dylan in lyrics. These are my personal details. These are the points which I'm going to discuss in the presentation. Let's first begin with the introduction of the poet. Our lyricist, Bob Dylan. His full name is Robert Allen Zimmerman. Was born on the 24th of May 1941 in Dilip, Minnesota, USA. In his earlier day, in his youth, he started singing in cafes and clubs of Greenwich Village. He also got Nobel Prize in Literature, though as being a songwriter or a lyricist, he got the award of Nobel Prize in Literature in 2016 for having created new poetic expressions within the great American song tradition. Uh, his songs are rooted in the rich tradition of American folk music and are influenced by the poets of modernism and the beatnik movement. So, from his youth to till the death, we can find a transition from folk to rock. He started to explore upon folk music, and as time passes his ideas on music has been changed and developed. In his songs, we can find themes like social struggles, political protest, love, and religion, like Enlightenment Society, idea of Enlightenment Society. He moved from folk to rock music in 1916s and infusing the lyrics of rock and roll. These are the first side is another side of Bob Dylan. In that column there are the all the famous albums of Bob Dylan, and on the other side these are the famous songs of Bob Dylan. From the 90th second half of the 19th century till the 20th century, songs of Bob Dylan has been popularized a lot. So what is the reason of the of such popularization of the songs of Bob Dylan? So Bachelor, yes. Bob Bachelor Bob Batchelor describes in his article that Dylan's work over past 25 years has also been both timely and late, because some songs and some performances have a valedictory quality to them and show an increasing awareness of morality. T.S. Eliot's essay, Ezra Pound, his metric and poetry, offers a possibly here our Adrian Greffel, in his article 21st Century Dylan, late and timely, notes that T.S. Eliot's in his essay, Ezra Pound, his metric years must alter, he must seek new influences, he will have different emotions to express. Now Bob Dylan as well having influence or popularity over 25 years, and this is how the criteria of T.S. Eliot's of changing expression and ideas of Bob Dylan fermented. Bob Batchelor, in his article, also says that via Dylan's influence, popular music transformed into something akin to collective storytelling. So, the songs of Bob Dylan is also being categorized in a literature also. Now, let's look at Bob Dylan's fame as a literary writer. Though Bob Dylan has not written poetry, rather he has written lyrics, songs, but his songs are being considered as poetry, and thus he get an award of he got a Nobel Prize in Literature in 2016 for developing poetic expressions in songs. He was the first person to get Nobel Prize for songs or lyrics, and he was also the first one who got a prize since Toni Morrison's in 1993. The Oxford Book of American Poetry includes his song Desolation Row in its 2006 edition, and Cambridge University Press released the Cambridge Companion to Bob Dylan in 2009. Billy Collins, also a former United States poet laureate, says that most songs lyrics don't really hold up without music, and they aren't supposed to. Bob Dylan is in the 2% club of songwriters whose lyrics are interesting on the page event without the harmonica and guitar and his very distinctive voice. I think he does qualify as I think he does qualify as poetry. So Billy Collins in one article says that he can consider Bob Dylan not only as a songwriter but rather as a poet. The Swedish Academy also credited Mr. Dylan with having created new poetic expression within the great American song tradition. Now in 2006 when 2016 when Bob Dylan get Nobel Prize, and he is supposed to get speech. So in this speech, Dylan talks about the literary influence of him. He talks about way back to his childhood or his days when he was in grammar school, where he learned a lot about literary works like Don Quixote, Moby Dick, Robinson Crusoe, Gulliver's Travels, Tale of Two Cities. And he says that these works have had a great influence of him to write songs. And thus the ideas which is described by these works are having most influence of in his songs. He says that way of looking at life, an understanding of human nature, a standard to measure things by. So all these things he learned and he got by reading of all these books. So it is not so that he is getting a Nobel Prize in literature and he is not connected with literature. Rather, he has a great influence of literature over him. He says that I took all that with me when I started composing lyrics, and the themes from those books worked their way into many of my songs, either knowingly or unintentionally. I wanted to write songs unlike anything anybody ever heard, and these themes were fundamental. So see how he also includes in his speech how this works and how literature has shaped his ideas, which he described in his songs and lyrics. But at the ending part of the speech, he quotes something. He says something that though he has written lyrics and these are being considered as poetry, but his songs are not to be supposed to read, but rather has to listen. He says that that's what songs are too. Our songs are alive in the land of the living, but songs are unlike literature. They are meant to be sung, not read, as Shakespeare's play were meant to be acted, not acted on the stage, not to be read. Just as lyrics in songs are meant to sung, not read on the page. And I hope some of you get the chance to listen to these lyrics and the way they were intended to be heard in concert or on record, or however people are listening songs these days. I return once again to Homer, who says, "Sing in me, O muse, and through me tell the story." So he wants to emphasize that though my songs are being characterized in the category of literature, in the poetry of literature, but it is not only meant to be read, but rather it meant to heard, listen. Bob Dylan is one. When he got a Nobel Prize in Literature, he was also being categorized. He was also being criticized a lot because as a songwriter, he is getting Nobel Prize in Literature by in in Bob Dylan and the Dialect of Enlightenment, critical lyricist of high capitalism, Tony Fluxman notes few things. He says that by being sensitive to the various alienating situation he finds himself in, Dylan is able to capture the varied and settled way in which Enlightenment society maintain its control. He also says Bob Dylan as a profound critic of the forms of domination in the late capitalist society. The songs of Bob Dylan is surrounded by the themes of enlightenment society, like this have a political concern, social concern, his self ideas are also being reflected in that, what he thinks about the situations are going on in the society and how these situations can be overcome. There are sophisticated critical perspectives, mythical touches, where human situations are unchangeable, political criticism, though it is also told that Dylan was writing about politics as well, but though he was a profound critic of politics. He was social institutions are approached through the artist's own experience. He also done self criticism in personal realm and refuses involvement from confusion of the society and evil mechanism of the society. So by his songs, he want to spread the idea of enlightenment society and how the condition of society can be changed. In his works like Blowing in the Wind, All Along the Watchtower, there we can see a kind of protest shown by Bob Dylan. I would like to conclude my presentation with a quote by Bob Dylan himself. He quote, "You should always take the best from the past, leave the worst back there, and go forward into the future." He unquote. So, in the beginning of his career, he started to follow traditional folk music, and now he is not completely abandoning that folk tradition, but rather he is expressing his own view to look at the things and look at the things in a very much different way, which is not there in folk tradition earlier. So he looked forward to the into the future, which is told by Dylan himself. These are the work citations. Thank you. Now I'm open for questions.
Trushali, what is the best way to describe Bob Dylan and his music?
Means in which way?
Music.
What is the best way to describe Bob Dylan? I cannot understand what you actually want to say. Because I have mentioned about his career, his works as considered as a poetry and songs also. So, in which context are you talking about? Can you specify something?
Okay, let me think. I'll answer you after second question.
Trushali, despite of stating in his Nobel Prize acceptance speech that he did not write songs with the intention of creating literature, what was the reason Bob Dylan was awarded the Nobel Prize in literature?
Yes, right. The main reason of him being awarded by Nobel Prize, even though he is writing songs only, lyrics only, which are on a surface way not being considered as literature at all. The main reason is that the songs which is written by him is having more concern with human society, which are supposed to be presented by work of arts. So this is, in this way, his songs are being categorized in category of literature, and thus got Nobel Prize in literature. Okay, now read this question. I was not able to understand the question properly, but yes, your question is, what is the best way to describe Bob Dylan and his music? So, his music are the one who are, his music are dealing with the themes of social enlightenment, enlightenment society, right? His songs are being concerned with the current social issues and situations. So the best way to describe Bob Dylan and his music is quite confusing for me. Sorry.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Upasana. Today I will present American Transcendentalism. Here is my personal information. These are the points which I have discussed in my presentation. Introduction, Transcendentalism in American philosophy, American Transcendentalism and nature, social context, philosophical and religious context, literary context, and then conclusion. First, introduction. Transcendentalism was a religious, literary, and political movement that evolved from New England century in 13th century, and an important expression of Romanticism in the United States. It is a principally associated with the work of essayist and poet Ralph Waldo and interestingly about the Theodore Perricker and essayist naturalist and a political theory. Henry David Thoreau in their intuitive pace. The Transcendentalism extend the Unitarian technological rebellion against the Puritan civil against Puritan clavicism, moving a tower of Christian spirituality that had each man and woman capable to spiritual development and fulfillment. The development literary as well as a theological form of expression, making perhaps a stronger impact on American literature, literary and artistic culture than did on American religions. The Transcendentalism also responds to the political turbulent 18th-14th century and 18th-15th century, developing themselves to issue of a social reform. Transcendentalism in American philosophy. Transcendentalism are very formal words that describe a very simple idea. People, men and woman equally have a knowledge about themselves and the world around them that transcendence or goes beyond that they can see, hear, taste, touch or feel. A transcendentalism is a person who accept these ideas not a religious belief but as a way of understanding life relationship. American Transcendentalism and Nature. Henry David Thoreau was one of the first environmentalists in American history. Despite having a small proximity to nature, Weldon most importantly post is the notion of a living simple being born growing in a Concord. Thoreau went to live at a Weldon Pond in 1845 for the purpose of intentionally expressing nature and testing his transcendental outlook in the concrete physical world. In the world chapter entitled Saluted, he illustrated his relation with nature as a intimate mutual one. In scribable innocence and benefits of a nature, of sun and wind and rain, of summer and winter, such a healthy, such a cheer they afford forever. Shall I not have intelligence with them, with the earth? Am I not partly lives and vegetable wood myself? In a nature, Emerson first expressed his fantastic view of the world. Nature is the place where God can be found. He wrote, when God can be found, he wrote, nature is the it is a source of nourishment of beauty and inspiration. It is in a nature, therefore are in a nature alone that man can find what he needs. It is where God speaks to him. It is where man can regret himself without the help of traditional institutional religion, since in his only religious indeed in nature. Social context. Henry David Thoreau proclaimed that it was the duty of every person to act against the state where he feels that it is morally wrong. He also noted that under a government which imprison and unjustly, the true place for a just man is also a prisoner. He did not reject the political in general, but asked the status to act in Henry with the moral principles. The reforms of the society through the perfection of the individuals from within and not from without thought external. Means what was a transcendentalism? Empathize the idea that Thoreau purpose in his essay had been a structured thought his New England heritage and the event of the time.
Walter Henry, in his book Not Thoroughgrave, up in a atmosphere of anti-slavery feeling, philosophical and religious context. Transcendentalism originated from English Romanticism and German idealist philosophy Unitarianism and Ernest religion. It stands on one main principle that God is both immanent and transcendent, both in the world and outside of it. The idea of immanence referred to inalienable worth of man, because God is a within mankind, and the recording to the and the recording to the and record God is a within mankind, and according to the principle of transcendentalism, God is a all incorporation. These were regarded as a ridiculous religious idea for those who were familiar with the traditional Christian theology. Transcendentalism seems a mass of a mid or opinions. The most important of all this was the concept of God is the soul, faith in immediate inspiration, in a boundless possibility, and in a un, unimaginable God. Transcendentalists were more eager to hold a more identity view of a human mind and mental capacity, which would allow an inherent understanding of God and morality. Literary context. Transcendentalism rose out of a literary background in the Romantic movement in America, British and Europe. Romanticism spread in America literally between 1820 and the end of the Civil War. It was expressed not only in the work of transcendentalists, but also their contemporaries, including James Fenimore Cooper, Edgar Allan Poe, Henry Wordsworth Longfellow, Nathaniel Haverthorne, Herman Melville, and Welsh find meaning within themselves instead of waiting for another higher source of guidance, including God or church. Conclusion. Transcendentalism, in effect, really began as a religious movement and an attempt to substitution a romanticized version of the mythical idea that humankind is capable of a direct expression of the holy for Unitarian rationality. We view that the truth truths of religions are arrived at by a process of empirical study and by rational inference for historical and nature evidence. Transcendentalism and its specific view regarding the nature as some single and as a special impact on the American literature. Most noticeable in the works of some great American writers, including Nathaniel Hardworth, Scarlet Letter 1815, Weldon Welt Winstman, Leaves of Grass 1855, and Herman Melville, Moby Dick, published in 1851. Hardworth and Melville strongly desired with the transcendentalism view regarding the preferably of men.
How can we differentiate nature and religion in transcendental way?
Nature. In post-World War Christianity, different in nature and religious. Nature was influence on our human our mind and inner space. Then religious influence our mental capability. The religious mental capabilities. So different.
Upasana.
Relevant to our society, then education, women's rights, and and
Okay, let us have a very quick feedback. Okay, so most of you did well as in the previous presentations also, content-wise. And I think few things needs to be corrected. That let us have an overview. First one was by Insia, and it was quite well prepared and presented also. You cited this source, which is a very good source, artsandculture.google.com. So that source was cited and it is worth referring also. Let us see if it gets displayed on the screen. There is a slow internet. That's so. This one. So it's a very interesting resource, quite an official resource also, of various photographs and other things in this. Because of slow internet, it will not display there. But this you can refer to this site also. But with that, what you need to take care of is this, that you have to connect that with the syllabus part, that in which context you are putting that in the title also. You have to make it clear in context of Robert Jordan's thing, and then you are talking. So that contextualizing in American literature becomes very important. Then one more point that you can add here when you argue is that what are the historical records saying and how Hemingway is dealing with that history. So what is the stance taken by novelist, writer, how he tries to look at that history. So as we have seen time and again, that history and literature, they are always having locking horns. There are always people who are not happy with the literary representation of the history. So is there the same kind of a problem with the way Hemingway is looking at Spanish history of civil war or not? That you should see when you compare this. So when the time has passed, today can we see that is the writer's truth is more prevailing, or there were the people on those days, their truths are more prevailing? Whose truths truth live longer as time passes. That can be the way to look at this. Mansi presented on Code Hero, Hemingway's Code Hero, Robert Jordan as that. You referred to Philip Young, who gave this idea, but that was not like properly cited or referred. Actually, where he has said, how he has said that part, that original source, you should go. Is it essay? Is it a book where that person has referred? Not only secondary source, but that you have to refer and exemplify that. Nirali presented well on, he gave some this examples also from films and other works also about Romanticism and Transcendentalism. Answers still were not given properly, so that also you need to see that how properly you give the answers also. Questions also you need to ask related to the slides, not any random question, which again is repeated several times now. So you have to always get things from the slides that are presented to ask the question. Payal presented on Bob Dylan's songs. So in your title, you need to put colon, which is without colon, punctuation marks are very important. So if you don't, then it is Bob Dylan's song impact on society. So Bob Dylan's songs, colon, impact on, that is what you want to say. So that was the missing. So I hope you might have identified what was the mistake. Then when the title is suggested in the beginning, if you correct, then when you present, then I can understand you have understood it. Otherwise, I think still you have not understood what is the problem with the title. So you have to rectify yourself. If you are able to find a mistake, then rectify. So I can understand that, okay, you know it. I don't have to repeat that part. So make use of proper colons in the title when you frame. Otherwise, it doesn't lead to the proper understanding. The word folk, which is very important in Dylan. So you use the spelling F-O-C-K. So that when you read also, it should come in your mind. So maybe typo error, but you tell by reading that, well, there is a mistake here. Then also it is fine. But you don't say it means that you are not aware that you are reading a wrong spelling. You are reading the slide, but you are not able to perhaps see that. So that way you have to keep on rectifying. Typo error is a normal thing, but are you able to rectify at that time or not? That is, afterwards giving a defense is not meaningless. It is meaningless after, but at that time you can rectify that this is an error. And you have to give examples of influence. What way? Where are those examples? Who says that society is influenced by the songs? What is the nature of that influence? That examples also needs to be given when we try to prove the influence of particular song on a society. Pooja on tragic flow in now see tragic flow comes from where? Idea tragic flow, it comes from Aristotle's Poetics, and you have not cited Aristotle at all. So main source, seminal work should always be present in your thing that you have referred, you have cited, that you referred Aristotle within the slide also, but at the end there was nothing about which book. Poetics is the work where he talked about all these things. So that was missing. And some of you are putting the slides. You, Rajeshwari, Trushali, citation, and that is coming. But again, it is like mechanical way. That you are told that it should be in text outside, so mechanically it is presented. But you have to merge with the argument. Your arguments are going now, there you are taking support of this. So you are making a point, and then you say that so and so person in this also has said this or also has argued this, and then you move again on, and then you bring that person. You just put a name of a person, his views, and then you give paragraph, the entire paragraph. Now it is disjointed one. It is like a collage which is not fixing into your trajectory or your design also. So how you use those quotes from the source to support your arguments, that is important. So if you one by one, you pick up paragraph from 3-4 articles and you put and the names you give, and then your presentation is over. Now this is completely mechanically, you are right. that you have in text and at the end also. But what is your trajectory? Why are you using them? What you want to prove? That all is missing. So you make a beautiful statue, but it is dead one. It becomes dead statue also. So that way you have to merge within the arguments which are made. Rajeshvariba also, matriarchy you need to connect with this. So you're talking about a gypsy character. Gypsy pillar is a gypsy character. So it's a tribal characters, and tribal cultures normally had a patriarchal or matrilinear or mother-centric societies. So in that context, you are trying to see this. So that way you need to see, to clarify that the character of pillar and trying to study matriarchy with context of for whom the bell tolls. And again, you are also confused regarding matriarchy. In last slide, you have written that it will be good for the women. But you are saying something else. So that also was mismatched. That quote that you used also needs to be clarified in what context that quote is said and what is the meaning of that quote. How are you using the quote that you need to see? The basic argument that one sees in this is that the position of power. The question is to the position of power. So it is either man or women, it doesn't matter. But the position of power and how that power is utilized by the people, that is questioned. So when people talk about patriarchy, they question the power that society, culture has given to that position. That is father, that is brother, that is husband. That is examined or questioned in that way. Now, if you replace that with the same power given to the another gender, it is equally problematic. It remains so. So that is not the movement of feminism also. So how that can be seen, that you have to see. So it tries to dismantle patriarchy, as you use the word also. Dismantle patriarchy. It is not to replace with matriarchy. It is to dismantle patriarchy, but it doesn't mean it is to replace with matriarchy, because matriarchy is equally dangerous as patriarchy. So to see that one has supported somebody, some kinds of position, has supported man, for example. Now, but it is not a good support. So if it's supported, though it is good or bad, we are not concerned. Now let us give that support to women. So it is equally dangerous. It is equally problematic also. Example of film, and that also was still not matching well, that you have given teleseries or that one also. So that also you have to like exactly speak about why you are saying this. This example of web series, just having a women there and doing that is not enough for that. In another this Balika Vadhu and the another film that you referred. So there were dangers of matriarchy. These are the glaring examples of dangers of matriarchy. So, and they all are situated in India. The societies are portrayed as India. So there was a question that in India, is it possible or not? It is very much present in India. It is that kind of structures are very much present. We have families where Faibas and Dadimas, they rule like anything, and nobody can speak against them. So it doesn't save women if there is a women at a ruling position. It is the power that has its own effect, and it is always dangerous effect. Whether it is a man or a woman, it doesn't allow people to give freedom as such. They will always require that you have to ask us everything. You can't do anything without our permission. They will interfere in everybody's affairs, like they have a right to do that. They will think that, oh, we have a right to do that. Is so many times when even mother said that I have kept you 9 months in my womb, so it doesn't mean that you have any control over me. So you should have not kept me. You should have thrown out. It would have been better than if you use that. So using that language again and again is a language of control. So that is where also people object those things. So Indian societies as such do have those aspects also. Riddhi also needs to improve answers. When you give answers, you need to properly give the answers. And this word wind, not wind, it is wind word, blowing in the wind. So that if you pronounce wrongly, it means you have not attended the classes. Otherwise, the teacher might have pronounced it properly, and you might have captured from the way teacher speaks that word. So it only proves that you remained absent in the class. Like in school days, also we might have remained absent. And then you would blame that we had a very poor teacher. When somebody will say that, well, in school there are poor teacher, we also will have our manjira. Ah, બરાબર છે કે અમારે બહુ નબળા ટીચરો હતા. આપણે એમ ન કહે કે અમે ક્યારેય ક્લાસમાં જ જતા નતા, અમે એબસેન્ટ જ રહેતા હતા. તો અમને આ રીતે જ બોલતા આવડે ને કે એ આપણે ક્યારેય ન સ્વીકારીએ. What is role of students in strengthening academic institutes? One important, don't never remain absent. Absenteeism is a cancer which never allows the system to grow in a robust manner. So these simple words which are not pronounced correctly, which proves your absenteeism also. Rinkal also was comparing, but still some deeper way you need to look at that comparison also. Trushali presented on Dylan and the influence also. There also you are talking about folk to literature. So you have to give example from what was the folk which he is writing about, and then when he moves towards literature, it means there is a rise, there is development in that. So somehow we have this concept, we don't know why, that folk is something inferior and moving towards literature is something superior. So that also we can examine, that why we consider folk as something of lower quality, and then one person when moves from folk to literature, we say now he deserves Nobel Prize. So there is also something in that which can be examined, that a couple of times we have referred to that why folk, though it is very popular, but still not considered as a high quality of literature also. Why there is that difference that one can see. So that you have to bring with examples, that folk to literature, what change it is there. And you talk about Nobel speech in that. So wherein there is the influence of literature on Bob Dylan, not Bob Dylan's influence on literature. Two different things are there. So whether you want to say Bob Dylan's influence on literature or literature's influence on Bob Dylan. In the speech, he says how I was influenced by literature. So Don Quixote, this word also you can see this how it is pronounced. It is written as Don Quixote, Spanish word.
Don Quixote.
Because of slow net there, we are not able to reflect it on the screen here. Okay? In the sharing, we can see that. So you can see the Don Quixote. Here again, not visible. Larger screen. In this larger screen, we require much faster bandwidth. So our tools are equipped for 5G now. Without 5G, things will not work properly. Don Quixote. The same way, even the word thorough also was pronounced wrongly by many of you. Thorough. That is how it is pronounced. That also I am displaying here, so in case it gets seen there. Yes, so in that, when this Nobel Committee gives, he says that for creating new poetic expression within the great American song tradition. So he has created poetic expression within that song tradition. So, like, it seems like song traditions do not have poetic expressions, but he has added something that. So that, if you can find what is the song tradition and how or what his lines or lyrics of the song has added a poetic value to that, then it can be important also. So that needs to be seen in that. Last one was by Upasana. Thorough, you were also not reading it properly. And even you prepared your slides, it seems hurriedly, so you have not even properly put the slides also. Many lines were also not organized, copy pasted directly, but then you had no perhaps time to edit those things also. It seems like that way on the slides. So taking material from the articles in that is fine, but now at this level you have to see why. Just copy pasting is not what I am saying. So if you are getting that message that you told that copy from the articles, so paragraph after paragraph, let us put there and we will do in-text citation and then we will cite that. So the work is done. No, you have your own trajectory to say something. You want to prove something. You have some points to be said. Within that, how those articles are helping you, how you use them to forward your argument. That is what we have to see. Okay, so with this we end the morning session. Okay.